it out of the program, and it'll still run here.
Sorry. Ladies and gentlemen, my name's Henry Confidential. It is time to talk MCU. So as you saw in the title, this is an MCU movie draft. We've just been talking and in our chat, and we're like, let's just throw this out there. So literally, really no prep behind it. We didn't rewatch all the movies, in preparation for this. So our actual conversation might not be as intellectual as you guys would like, nerds. But yeah. So with that said, the order of the draft was solidified behind scenes. So I'll go in the order of the draft. Tato, you have the first overall pick. Are you confident in your ability to not screw up the first overall pick? I don't know, I can't think. Jamarcus Russell, or are you confident? Are you confident that you can actually hold steady and draft a solid 5-movie team?
Jamarcus Russell's rookie year was also my rookie fantasy year, and I totally drafted that guy, and he did not play at all. So yeah, I think I should do better in this draft than in that one.
Don't couch it up, Tato.
You're going Eternals first overall. That's what I'm hearing. All right. Next up, Brian, you had the second overall pick. I think out of all of us, you have the most technical experience with these online drafts. I know over on Multiplex, you've done a couple of those. So do you think you have a little bit of advantage with the strategy for the movie-based drafts? Or at the end of the day, is it still just whatever? Who cares? Let me pick my favorites, and whatever happens, happens.
Well, that's how I've usually done well in the drafts, is because my tastes tend to differ than a lot of other people's. So I don't have to worry about my choices getting taken, things like that. MCU is a little different because, we have considering the number of movies and the number of people we have, it's a smaller pool. And a lot of people kind of have same opinions on, not all of them, but most of them. So, but the good thing is there's so many good ones. You can't really have a bad draft overall.
Yeah, exactly. And like I said, there's 4 of us, and we're doing 5 movies each. So we'll at least be able to do the quote unquote top 20 MCU. So we'll see exactly how that fares. I'm third, and yeah, like Brian just said, generally speaking, a lot of people have similar opinions. But I know for a fact that, at least for me, some of my favorites that obviously you guys behind the scenes saw some of my top ones, so you guys have an advantage on that. But the top like 4, the first rounders. If I get one of those, I'm happy. And then after that, it is what it is. So I'm excited for this. And then Jay, this isn't debate, but you're going to be able to talk shit and and judge our draft picks. And you actually had the option to pick your position, and you went with 4. Do you have a little strategy that you want to kind of leak a little bit of why you did that, or is it blind dumb luck?
No, it's more along the lines. There are only a certain few movies that I really want to grab early on. And I think that I'm pretty well safe with what I want to grab at the number 4 spot. 1 or 2 of my top 10 might be gone, just like Brian said, because a lot of us have similar taste in movies. But I think grabbing 2 real solid picks back to back will help me out in the long run, actually.
There you go. So without further ado, no, I can't think of the actual NFL draft chime, but Tato,
yeah.
No, that was MCU. You started through the MCU song. So anyway, Jake Tato, you are on the clock with the very first pick for the MCU movie draft.
I pick Eternals.
Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and go with.
I heard Eternals just locked in. Sorry.
The best entry in Phase 4. Spider-Man No Way Home.
It's a good pick.
Right. Spider-Man No Way Home is off the clock. Do you want to go ahead and give us a quick little preverb of why you picked that first overall? Because I feel like that's important.
Yep, it's a big, huge movie. I think it's first on it's near the top of a lot of people's tiers list. So I didn't think I would be able to get it at another spot for sure. And I just think it truly is a masterpiece. Tom Holland is not overshadowed by Toby and Andrew. The movie is just the movie's just about as close to perfect as it gets, and it takes how epic Endgame was and does it again in a different way while maintaining the street level of Spider-Man.
There you go. And what I'm going to do, instead of everyone talking after this, we'll go through each round, and then we'll do a little recap after and talk about our opinions on it. So with that said,
real quick, can we drop everybody's picks into the private chat? Just that way we don't forget.
Sure. I'll type it. I have my own list, but I'll also type it there. So, all right. So with that said, Brian, you were on the clock with the second overall pick.
Tato didn't help me. I had two movies that I really wanted. I knew I wanted to have one of them, and I figured whichever one wins first, that helps me decide which one I'm picking. He didn't pick one, so I'm gonna go with Avengers Endgame.
Okay.
It seems like the obvious pick, but it's the obvious pick for a reason. I mean, this is the movie that was the culmination of the MCU, essentially. And yes, the MCU has continued beyond that, but that really was the culmination of everything that had happened up to that point, and it didn't disappoint. I mean, it was just a massive event on every level and a complete success. So I loved everything about it.
There you go. Endgame is off the clock, and I am up. So two of my top four went. Just that does make that a little harder because now I'm at a point where I'm like, in theory, I think one of my higher ones could stay with me. I don't know if Jay would get both of them, but yeah, let's not risk it. I'm gonna go Infinity War. I'm going to go Infinity War because I genuinely think that this movie, when you think of the MCU, this is one of the first ones you think of. I think that's important for this type of format of a draft of like how strong you want your roster to be. It's the Empire Strikes Back of the MCU. You know, Thanos wins. Arguably, Thanos is better in Infinity War than Endgame, and that's a knock on Endgame for a lot of people. So I feel like, you know, I have that tiebreaker there. My only issue with Infinity War is the third act does feel comic booky, but the first 2/3 are so perfect and the stakes are so high and the camaraderie with all the characters coming together. So I'm really satisfied with that number one overall pick. So Jay, just do one of your snake drafts.
You're good.
We'll recap round one.
All right, bet. This is super simple. This is way easy. Nobody took anything that I wanted. Endgame and Infinity War were actually a little lower. No Way Home was like, I didn't think it would go in round one. I thought that I might be able to slip in and get it in my second pick in round two. But I'm going Captain America: The Winter Soldier. I mean, you want to talk about a fucking movie that puts people on the map. I think this is the one that solidified Joe and Anthony Russo as like the main directors of the MCU. This movie's so fucking good. Still to this day, this movie is fucking amazing. He somehow took a 70s spy thriller and turned it into a comic book movie, and I'm here for that.
All right. So with that said, Jay, recap your opinions on Infinity War, Endgame, and No Way Home for round one.
Oh, I love No Way Home. Don't get me wrong. I think probably some of my favorite things in No Way Home are just the interactions between the three Spider Bros. Especially like when they're sitting there and talking about like all of the fucking bad guys that they fought. And you get oh, you're not lame. No, you're not lame. You're amazing. And you're amazing. And it's just like it's wholesome, but it's a throwback, it's a nod. It's the name of the thing. They did the thing. Endgame, it's Endgame, dude. Like, we literally spent almost 20 years building up to this. Almost 15 years building up to this. Infinity War was the start of that. I like Endgame a little more than Infinity War, but I love both of those movies. And Winter Soldier is just Winter Soldier, my boy. Like, it's still by far it's still in my top 5. It's still in my top 5 favorite MCU movies.
So yeah, for me, No Way Home is my favorite MCU movie. I'm a huge Spider-Man stan, so that would have been easy for me. Endgame, Infinity War, any given Sunday they can flip back and forth which one I like more, but they're both top 5 for me. Hot take, I think Winter Soldier overrated. I've had that take for years. Everyone knows that. It's just one thing that I don't think it's a bad movie. I just don't think it's like cream of the crop. You know what I mean? So it's always one of those ones where for this type of format, I was totally cool knowing that would go round one and knowing that has nothing to do with me. So yeah, that's all you. And yeah, so I'm actually really cool with how this round one went. Brian?
You muted, bud.
Way to silence yourself.
Yep. I'm not going to repeat everything everybody else has already been saying, but I will just say that all 4 of these are in my like top 7. So that's going to, knock into my future draft picks real fast. Infinity War was the other one. That and Endgame are always really whichever one I watched most recently is the one that's my favorite. So they flip flop back and forth all the time. But yeah, I love all these movies.
There you go. And Tato, you went No Way Homes, obviously. So assuming you wouldn't have went No Way Home, which of these three would have been your number one overall pick if you did choose any of these three?
Probably Endgame. I will echo Brian's sentiment in that those are just the coin flip movies. Literally, it's two sides of a coin. So it's like, do you need to be downtrodden and with the empire of Thanos of Infinity War, or do
Yes,
you
it had
need
such a down ending.
That's all life is, man. A series of down endings. Or do you need the victory of Endgame? So it's just, which one do you watch? Those movies would have probably been my coin flip. But Winter Soldier in there as well. I think Endgame, Winter Soldier, Infinity War, all up like real tight. I expect the next 4 to also be epic, and then maybe we'll start to peter off in the 12-ish range.
So yeah, one thing I will say about Endgame, no Ewoks. So if we keep doing the Star Wars comparisons, it doesn't have Ewoks, so it's not too fuzzy. Jay, you are back up to start round 2. What is your next pick?
Oh, okay. My next pick, I think the next one that I want is safe, so I'm fine with it. I'm a rock Ragnarok.
Oh.
I'm going Thor Ragnarok. I know a lot of people had complaints that this movie was overly jokey, but it was better than Dark World and the fucking thematic movie that Kenneth Branagh made that was essentially just like Richard the Third, but with comic book characters. Or Henry V, not Richard the Third. But I actually really enjoy this movie. I love to shout out to like what we do in the shadows, the jokiness of everything, the rock paper scissors joke that just like takes forever, plus that get help scene is just phenomenal. Nobody I think one of the more important deaths in the MCU is Odin. And it's an underrated death in the MCU because he doesn't die by like physical force. This man just floats away into the I would ultimately say he floats away into the ether, but that's a fucking stone, so we can't say that.
More of a blob, really.
That got affected by the ether.
But you know what? I go back to this movie when I'm not feeling good and I don't want to watch a TV show. This is the MCU movie that I throw on because it makes me laugh and it puts me in a feel good place. Plus, I'm sorry, Cate Blanchett in that fucking outfit, murdering everybody, like I'm here for it.
Neil, yes ma'am. All right, so we are up to me. There's 2 in my top 4 that I could go with, and frick, dude, this one's tough because it's like I'm not getting both of them. That's just a fact. So I'm gonna go Civil War. Okay. This is a movie that is high on stakes, even though a lot of people like to, be like, oh, they're pulling their punches. When it comes to the actual Civil War part, fighting wise, physically, yes. But when it comes to what their morals and their ethics and their actual beliefs, that is what is the Civil War. And Baron Zemo did a fantastic job of doing that. He literally says it at the end. He's like, you really think I wanted more Winter Soldiers? No, it wasn't about that. It was about tearing down the Avengers. And it really just sets the scale of the backdrop of everything that happened on Age of Ultron. And it really creates this world. It makes the MCU feel like a world franchise, not just superhero stuff that happens in a city or, that doesn't have any stakes. Like everything with like Avengers and stuff, Iron Man had his PTSD. But if you really think about the world and how their thoughts on it, it's more of, like, oh yeah, that happened, or, we don't really talk about it. But Civil War does a fantastic job of actually having stakes for the world. And I feel like it did a great job. Plus it introduces Black Panther. It has literally the best running chase scene in superhero films.
Facts.
Spoiler for an upcoming Battleground, but better than the Winter Soldier one. Sorry, but yes, it's a fantastic job. I love all the stuff with obviously the airport scene, but the actual third act fight, the 3-way fight between Bucky, Cap, and Iron Man is just fantastic because once again, there's the true stakes because it's really one of my favorite lines. He's like, I don't care. He killed my mom. Like, it's just like, dude, you feel that in Robert Downey Jr. is just his inflection and just how he portrays that. Tarantino says that these guys aren't superstars, but I don't know, man. Sometimes away.
Yeah,
Sometimes,
but I don't respect the opinion of somebody who loves feet that much. So
with that said, they are not superstars anymore because feet are the best. With that said, Brian, your second pick in round 2, or your first pick in round 2, second pick overall.
All right. I wish I knew Tato's taste more because I don't know what's safe and what's not.
white people, Brian.
Butter, salt.
With all that alcohol, there's no taste buds left.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm almost 4 months
No,
sober, man.
because like Henry, there's 2 that I think are my next 2 picks, but there's no way I'm getting them both. So it's a matter
So
of taking
congratulations to the sobriety, Tato.
Thank you.
And
As a drink dick.
I'm not sober. Fuck you.
Buying you time, Brian.
okay then. I'm going to go with Guardians of the Galaxy. The first one.
Great pick. Great pick.
Technically, if I was to list my, rate my whole MCUs, there are a couple other movies I put above this one, but I think this one, as far as setting it apart from the rest of the MCU, this was kind of the first real risk I think that the MCU took. It's like before they've done these established characters of Hulk and Thor and Iron Man and Captain America, and then this is the first one for like it's a talking raccoon and a tree. There's no way this movie's going to work.
Don't call him a raccoon.
And it really did. And that 100% goes to not only James Gunn, who obviously did a great job with it, but I think the cast he assembled, making Chris Pratt essentially an action star, but not by trying to make him be serious, by embracing the comedic side of it and the whole team. It's a movie that has a surprising amount of heart to it. It uses music great. It's probably one of the best soundtracks of all the MCU films. And so,
Easy.
Yeah. That's my pick.
I was watching this movie the other day, and my roommate was just doing, dishes and laundry and stuff, and she kept yelling, "These are all my favorite songs."
I'll also say the Christmas special is a lot of fun. It just goes by super fast, though.
Yeah,
I saw a scene from that, but I have the Guardians 1 soundtrack on like repeat on my Spotify. I fucking love that soundtrack.
There you go. And Tato, time for you to wrap up round 2 with just one pick, and then we'll recap, and then we'll do your second one.
I do appreciate you misleading Brian on my interests, and I will save the embarrassment of doing the salute. But I will say Black Panther.
I won't. I'll do it all day. You warheaded demon.
The movie is so good. It's in my top 4. So I'm really glad to have it come back to me here. It's damn near perfect. Rest in peace, Chadwick. We really I certainly missed you on Wakanda Forever. But yeah, the movie is damn near perfect. There's nothing really negative to say about it. It's awesome.
There you go. All right. So, Tato, now I'll let you talk about the other picks. Guardians, Civil War, and Ragnarok. Would have any of these gone to you if they would have stuck around, or would you have kept Black Panther?
I think knowing that I have picks cycling back, I would have Black Panther was going for me in one of these 2 picks. Ragnarok is the one that I was kind of hoping stuck around for me. But I know Jay loves it though.
I'll trade you. I'll trade you right now.
What, Black Panther for Ragnarok?
Yeah, absolutely.
No.
Okay. Hey, I offered.
You did. But yeah, I fucking love Ragnarok. No Way Home was what unseated Ragnarok at the top of my rankings. For all the reasons Jay listed. It's funny, but it also has crazy good emotional beats. Like Loki, I thought the world of you.
No, that breaks my heart, bro.
And then it weighs like the comedy weaves in because then it goes from that dip right into Get Help, which is hilarious. And
we're not doing Get Help.
Yep, and like the Hella stuff is great. Yep, love that movie. Civil War is fantastic. It's like Black Panther, next to perfect. Not a whole lot wrong with it, in my opinion. And you get that beautiful double page splash page of the airport fight scene. Just gorgeous. And introduces Spider-Man, who's a character I got a lot of love for.
Alarm.
Yeah.
All right, so,
Guardian's great.
Yeah. Brian, so I guess the one question for you is, was Civil War or Guardians, Civil War Ragnarok potential if they would have fell to you, and then Black Panthers, that's something that could have swooped around possibly for you.
I don't think I would have taken any of those in this round. I mean, they're all ones I definitely would have taken at some point in the draft, but probably not in this round. There's a couple others I wanted more.
Okay. And then, for me, I like Black Panther, but I think that third act really drops it. So it's not something that I would consider in the first 2 or 3 rounds. So, like, obviously, there's no universe where it would fall past round 2, maybe not even round 3. So I just knew that, that's not something that I would consider, and that's fine by me. But that's how scouting works. You just understand where your draft pick is and what's going for. Jay, last thoughts on you, and then we'll start round 3.
Most definitely. I don't know what a Black Panther is, though.
It's
Who's Hitler?
Honestly, Black Panther was one of those ones where I was like, maybe I could get it to slide to round 3.
Between that and Ragnarok, you were between 2. Was it?
I was. It was between Black Panther and Ragnarok because I know my other pick is safe.
Okay.
I know my other pick is safe. Civil War, I love just about everything about it, but giving Agent 13 the fucking best Captain America speech in all of comic book history, like I'm not happy about it. The "No, you move" speech is by far one of like the best things that Captain America ever did in the Civil War comics, other than beat the shit out of the Punisher. And I love Guardians 1. I have so many memories of being in a movie theater and watching it with my grandmother, being the only 2 people in there because somebody spilled their fucking soda on their popcorn and they walked out during the fucking trailers before the movie started. I love all 4 of these movies, but the only one I think I would have picked over Ragnarok is probably Black Panther.
There you go. Black Panther, round 1. Black Panther, on the other hand, round 2. With that said, Tato, you were up for round 3.
Yep. We got 2 left in my top 10. I don't think either of them are cycling back to me. So I will go with, and I think having an Avengers is good. So I will take Avengers. I think just the fucking group up. It's the first real heart of the MCU. Like Iron Man obviously kicked it off, started all off, and it's fantastic. But like this is where the MCU became the MCU. So for that reason, I will take Avengers.
There you go. Brian, your next pick in round 3.
I'm surprised I'm going to get it. My third pick is going to be Iron Man.
Damn it, you fuck.
This is obviously the movie that kicked off the MCU, and there's and because of its success and the way it really pulled everything off, it's kind of what gave birth to the whole MCU and allowed them to continue and to create this connected universe and everything. But even just as its own, just taken as itself, as its own solo movie, Robert Downey Jr. was perfect as Tony Stark. Not even just as Iron Man, but just Tony Stark as a character. I love the personality he brings to it. I love the whole part in the whole first section of the movie where he's like in a cave with a box of scraps and he makes the Iron Man, the Mark I armor and that kind of stuff. The music to it, the supporting cast they put together. Just everything about it. I will say that the villain in it, Warmonger, is not one of the strongest of the MCU. But at the time, didn't have that much to compare it to. So there you
go. The Ironmonger.
Ironmonger. Yeah.
What did I say?
Warmonger.
That's what I meant.
No, you're good. You're good.
Didn't I say that? Okay.
Aaron Tower didn't put on the War Machine yet.
Yeah.
So he wasn't.
Next time, maybe. Nope.
No,
not.
It's hard out here for a pimp.
Tell me you put that suit on. You put that suit on, Skinny. All right.
Suck my dick, bitch.
All right, so I'm in a pickle right now because Iron Man, I was fucking praying to God that was going next.
Henry's been scrambling as Brian was going through it. He's like, fuck. What do I choose? That was my next one.
So my reason is you guys all saw my list. My top 10 is all.
I didn't look at that. I didn't read at it.
Good. It's good for you. Good because you're not. But anyway, on paper, I know that my two remainings in my top 10 are not getting picked. So I'm not going to waste my 3rd round pick on it, knowing that the value just isn't there. So I'm actually going to go.
Let's all take those just to screw them.
That's fine, because then on paper, yours is going to look lower. Happy about it. the poll is going to judge you. They're like, idiot. At least you don't have the confidence to back it up. So with that, I'm going to go Wakanda Forever. On paper, I would not have done this with round 3, but Iron Man didn't go. But this is a movie that out of all the ones remaining, I love Namor. I don't have any relationship to comics, so I don't know exactly how it differs. But as a Latino person, this is one where it's similar to another film in this where I relate to that, and I have a heartwarming moment with that because that's how it represents, and I love how it paid respect to Chadwick's real life passing as well as T'Challa's passing within the story. How they intertwined it and made it make sense, but also paid respects to it. Like they literally just said he died of an illness. Like they didn't go into specifics because that's not the point. The point is we lost him. We're heartbroken.
Spoilers. I'm kidding.
We're heartbroken.
Too soon.
We're heartbroken, and it just is what it is. We got to move on. But they didn't shy away from it. And that's one thing that like a lot of my favorite movies that on paper I love more than others just because of how the material that they cover. I realize that they never go that next level of like heartbreaking seriousness. They just cover the topics, but they don't really go into it. This one deals with loss. Angela Bassett's performance. I only saw it the one time, just to be clear, but I was already like enamored enough to have it so high up in my overall rankings. It's not top 10, it's just outside my top 10, but that's just with one viewing, so you never know. I don't feel like it was too long. Obviously, yeah, sure, could it have been cut here and there? Yes, but at the end of the day, all these movies are around that range, so it's not that big of a deal. It doesn't stand above or below the rest in terms of runtime and pace. I love the action sequence. I actually love the third act because they're not faceless robots and villains. They're actually people. And it felt like a war film, but obviously on a boat and, in water, spoilers, but I'm being general enough. But it's one of those ones where I love Namor's reason for what he's doing, not because I agreed with it, because I believe that he had, he meant something. It meant something to him, like his purpose. So Shuri's character, it's one of those things like Kato alluded to. Obviously, we're missing Chadwick's, gravitas, but Shuri did a fantastic job of getting there, or at least growing into the potential of doing it. And then Angel Bassett's fantastic. I love the CG. Ryan Coogler does a great job of just, bringing a good film together. So
the cameo was fire, by the way.
Yeah. So obviously, on paper, this would not have naturally been my third round pick, but given how the board went, I'm really confident with it. So Wakanda Forever is my next pick. So Jay, we're on to you for your final pick in round 3.
I'm actually really bummed. That was gonna be my fourth round pick. That was gonna be my pick leading into the fourth round because I thought that I had enough time, just like we thought that we had enough time with Chadwick to actually get Wakanda Forever the way that it was supposed to be. I respect that pick. I hate the fact that you got it before I did.
21%.
So I'm gonna go 21%. So I'm gonna go back to phase 1. I'm gonna go Captain America: The First Avenger.
That's fair. Those are probably the two I would have decided on. So
I mean, it was gonna be first Avenger and then Wakanda Forever, because I love Wakanda Forever so much. I've seen that movie fucking 5 times already, bro. I fucking love that movie.
But First Avenger, what are your thoughts on
that? The First Avenger is just it was the first movie that really kind of stuck out like a sore thumb to me. Like, whereas we got like overly dramatic pieces with Thor, we got Tony Stark with a box of scraps in Iron Man, and nobody watched The Incredible Hulk, so it, like the fucking Eternals, isn't going to be picked by anybody. This was a flat out fucking war movie, and this is a movie about a dude who doesn't like bullies and just wants to do the right thing. And he's like Mr. Rogers meets. I lost my train of thought on that one. But he's like.
Huh? He's just Mr. Rogers.
Yeah, he's just Mr.
Well, he is Mr. Rogers.
He is Mr. Rogers. Fucking Twiggy and Dr. Theopolis. But no, he just wants to do the right thing. He signs up, and they finally let him in, and his relationship, as short-lived as it is with Stanley Tucci's character Abraham Erskine, really, yeah, for real, rip to Erskine, really kind of cement that. But I loved Hugo Weaving's Red Skull in this. I think it was one of the more villainous, like one of the more evil bad guys that we got in phase 1, where you were like, oh, I can actually take this guy seriously because he's a literal fucking Nazi. And you know, it is what it is. Plus I love the fact that they let him knock out Hitler over 200 times. So
You know,
yeah,
I've literally knocked out
Hitler. We need you. But yeah, no. I'm gonna go first Avenger. I fucking love this movie too.
All right, and to recap round 3, what are your thoughts on Wakanda Forever, Iron Man, and the Avengers? Jay.
I don't think no, I knew who you were going. I was trying to collect my thoughts on it.
Okay.
I don't think that since Endgame there has been a movie which has made me as emotional as Wakanda Forever made me. But Wakanda Forever made me emotional in a different way, because you're not the only quote unquote Latino on stream. You know, my grandmother comes from South America. You know, I have family that had to deal with shit like this. So to see that and to see culture represented that hasn't really been represented, let alone in a positive light, but just as like a force of nature that needs to be respected, was fucking phenomenal. The first Avengers movie is the first Avengers movie. Nobody is ever gonna forget that first fucking team up shot, that fucking circle. So like we talked about it a little bit in the group chat, that you know Ultron has that circular fucking team up shot. It's nowhere near as impactful as that first one. They just added more people to it. And then Iron Man is Iron Man, man. That movie is still so good. That movie still cracks me up. I can quote that movie. I think I know more about that movie than most people fucking know. And that's because I have like 130 fucking questions in chronological order about it. So I know that movie like the fucking back of my, hey, that's new. But no, everybody made really good picks, and Henry, I'm so mad. I will trade you my 4th round pick for Wakanda Forever right now.
If there was one that I think you would pick, then maybe, but it ain't happening. With that said, Iron Man is clearly the one that, you know, I visually was like, I was upset because that's my number, as of right now, that's my number 2 MCU movie. It goes No Way Home and then Iron Man. Like, it's literally, you know, because I have to be in the mood to watch Endgame, you know, for the entire 3 hours. Sometimes the third act of Infinity War gets real comic booky before the snap, and then Civil War. Sometimes I'm not in the mood to watch a 2.5 hour movie. Iron Man brings you back to that grounded, you know, 2000 superhero stuff of the, you know, what we really started to get before the world happening. So with that said, I was really bummed out I didn't get that one pick away. The Avengers, similar to Winter Soldier, I like it and I think it's a good movie, but I do think it is overrated in terms of just an overall film. It takes a while to get to the Avengers stuff, and we've already built up these characters, so it's taking so long to become the Avengers. You know, it's sometimes I want to get right into it. You know, obviously potential. I'll talk about that later. And then yeah, I'm happy I got Wakanda Forever. So with that said, Jay, start off round 4.
Jay, do I get to talk about this round? Okay, that's
Yeah,
cool.
I was like, are we just not gonna let them talk? No, Brian, what are your thoughts?
I was thinking of we went back last time, so it ended there. Brian, didn't mean to silence the white man.
That's how it is.
Brian,
I almost said something gonna have me in huge trouble. Never mind.
We're not technically live, but I can technically edit it out. So if I don't like the joke, we can't take it out. If you want to shoot your shot,
shoot it,
no.
Shoot it, say it.
No.
Well, what
no.
I think
Because we'll not get taken out, and I will get in trouble. No, I mean, well, first of all, as much as Jay liked to mock the Black Panther in the chat, I'm surprised he didn't knock on Wakanda Forever.
I know, because it's a Mark Ruffalo reference. I get the reference.
Yeah, I'm sure it was intentional.
It was definitely intentional.
Yeah. No, I mean, I like Wakanda Forever. Again, it's something I might have drafted eventually, but it wasn't going to go high for me. I think it's just too new, and I've personally only seen it one time so far. I do plan to see it again. Avengers is I think it's like my number 3 movie of my entire list, but I'm like, I already have an Avengers and I want to use my slots for other stuff.
Yeah.
So I thought I'd let that one go. Wasn't going to pick that one early. And what was the other one? Oh, Captain America. Captain America is another one that I liked, but it would not have gone high for me. It's bottom half of my listing, but not because it's a bad movie, just because most of the MCU is just that good, in my opinion.
Yep. There you go. And Tato, obviously you had to pretty much watch the majority of that round, and you have a lot to go for your next pick. What are your thoughts on what you missed out?
I'll start with Wakanda Forever. I did not I didn't love Wakanda Forever. I'm a weepy bitch. I'm a very cry or like prone motherfucker, but like it didn't get me until the end there, and like I didn't even squirt tears. I just got misty at the end. Nothing.
12 times in this movie that I cry, bro.
Yeah, it just for whatever reason did not hit me. Like the Chadwick stuff hit me. Beyond that, not so much. The acting was great. The Namor is a fantastic villain. To be added to the pantheon of what are like we're now starting to have like good MCU villains. But yeah, just Wakanda Forever, not a huge hit for me, so I'm not too bummed I missed out on it. I don't think it would have gotten on my team anyway. Iron Man was the other one in my top 10 that I said I knew I wasn't getting back both of. There's no way that was coming back to me. It's fantastic. It started it all, as Brian mentioned. And then Captain America, First Avenger, is just consummately the middle film in the MCU for me, and it still is. Like a couple years ago when I first got in the community, it was the middle film when there was only 23-ish.
Now there are 30.
Now there are 30, and it's still 15. It just is the consummate middle of the MCU for me, and it's a great baseline.
There you go. Jay, back over to you to start round 4 officially this time.
Officially starting round 4. Okay. There's still a couple places to go, and I have 2 picks left.
Everyone's got 2 picks left, dog.
You know what? We're going with the Joe Byron.
Unless we just keep going and draft the whole MCU.
Well, no, because it's uneven.
Yeah.
Because there's only 30. Unless we brought in TV shows, and then I think that we would be able to make it. But I'm gonna go my second favorite in a trilogy with a character in it. I'm gonna go Spider-Man Homecoming.
Damn it.
I think Spider-Man Homecoming is by far the second best Spider-Man movie in the MCU. It introduces, it doesn't introduce us to Tom Holland Spider-Man. Obviously, Civil War does that, but this introduces us to the life that Tom Holland has within New York and how he interacts and tries to balance his work, school life, being a superhero, trying to join the Avengers, and still being that local neighborhood Spider-Man. This is the movie where he wants to do good, but he's also trying to shoot up. I think that, I think that the Vulture, I think Michael Keaton's Vulture is by far one of my favorite villains because he didn't come by villainy to be a villain. It was just by circumstance and Tyne Daly in the fucking Department of Damage Control that turned him into a villain. Everything that he has to deal with, from Flash Thompson, a man that Peter Parker knows that he can beat the shit out of, Penis Parker, to dealing with a crush, to dealing with everything that's going on. I think that the menacing talk that Adrian Toomes, Michael Keaton has with Peter Parker when he pulls the fucking gun on him is by far one of my favorite scenes. But the fact that they pull from the comic books and he gets a building dropped on him and they brought that shit to life and it works so fucking well. And everybody just it's Spider-Man. He's fucking off in New York. He guards like a 13 block radius. Everything's fine. and then he ends up being the big hero at the end of the day. It's what everybody likes, and it's what everybody wants from a Spider-Man movie. I fucking absolutely adore this movie. I think that everybody does an amazing job in this film. Plus, I'm sorry, when the principal breaks into Ned being the guy in the chair and she's like, "What are you doing?" And he's like, looking at porn. It's just, well, it breaks me every fucking time. It breaks me every time. I fucking love this movie.
Been there, bro.
Samesies. But yeah, Spider-Man Homecoming is my pick for fucking round number 4.
All right. So with me, I have 2 picks left, and I only have 1 5-star movie left. So it just makes a lot of sense I'm doing this. I'm its biggest fan, clearly. You know, I don't want to say the biggest. There's probably other people, but I know that you guys would. Yes. Thank you. Multiverse, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. This is a movie that I love. I love America Chavez. I love Doctor Strange's character. I love the fact that he's already developed as a character, but he has his demons and he's dealing with it. Whether it's everything with Christine later in with when he's the Darkhold, and then I love. Everyone's biggest thing about this movie is based on their own expectations that they put on their own head. If you actually judge this movie of what we got on screen, all the criticisms aren't necessarily criticisms. It's all fantasies that just didn't come true. And I feel like that's not a knock on the movie. That's a knock on whatever you expect. If you want to write your own movie, go ahead. And if you want to judge a movie, that's fair, but judge a movie based on what we got, not what we didn't get. So, so with me, this is a movie that I love. And the Sam Raimi, like Spider-Man 1 is my second favorite, arguably my favorite, superhero movie of all time, depending on the day, between that and The Dark Knight. So that's when I was talking about the Iron Man stuff. Like it brings me back to those types of films, the grounded reality, while still being fantastical. You know what I mean? So Sam Raimi's directing is just hilarious. Everything with Wanda, if you watch WandaVision, it's one of those things where her character, the emotion and everything that you get from her character and her motives, it just makes sense, dude. And like I said, everyone's like my biggest thing with like Winter Soldier, I tell people I have my criticisms, and if you can like tell me why my criticisms are wrong, or if you can correct my criticisms, I'm here for it. I want to be here for it, but no one can ever do it. And it's the same thing with Multiverse of Madness. If you can tell me why your criticisms aren't just your expectations and your fantasies and all your just, what didn't happen versus what you wanted to happen, then I'm here for it. But I've never heard any real good ones. Everyone's like, oh, her America Chavez powers on the nose because she's wearing the star in her jacket, jean jacket, by the way, fire. And and then the fact
that's
she punches
literally what she does in the comics. Like, oh no, you don't like comic book movies to follow comics?
Like, it's just one of those things that just doesn't make sense of like people's actual criticisms. And this is just a movie, once again, the representation, it did a great job of like having a line of her having 2 moms, but not like making it like a big deal. It's just like, I have my 2 moms, and it's representation for other cultures and other entities without like forcing it. It happens, and that's there, and that's okay. You know what I mean? It's in this universe, and does a great job of that. Like, all the stuff with the multiverse stuff and the kind of the red herring, I love that because it opens the door for it to be there, but it doesn't have to be in this specific universe. Wink wink. You might get more of it and they might look the same, but in this movie their realities are not good. But with that said, I love this movie. It's a 5-star movie for me, so I had to pick it now, even though I technically think I could have gotten in the 5th round, but it just wouldn't make any sense to wait any longer. So Multiverse of Madness, Doctor Strange 2, welcome to the team. Brian, your next pick.
All right, so I'm gonna go one with a movie whose pure desperation to be part of the MCU gave it the best end credit scenes of any movie ever, and that's Morbius. No, I'm just kidding.
Kidding.
Got him.
Brian's done. He's cut off.
Yeah,
I like that movie, but it's still wrong. Everything's just
Morbid time.
As its own movie, yeah, the end credits were just pathetically horrible. So if you're doing like a poll on picks, this is the one that might hurt me in the poll, because there are a lot of people who don't like this movie like I do, and that's Thor: Love and Thunder.
He jumped the gun and said Iron Man 3.
I had a guess.
So Thor, starting with the first Avengers movie, Thor became kind of my favorite MCU character. I just loved the way that Joss Whedon kind of pivoted him, and instead of making him so serious, he gave him a lot more humor to him. His personality is better. The way he interacted with other people was better. He didn't think, and even when you get into Ragnarok and Love and Thunder, he's not taking himself so seriously either. I really enjoyed Ragnarok, of course, but I honestly think I liked Thor: Love and Thunder a little bit more. I didn't have a problem with there are little scenes, little parts here and there. I think it went too far with the comedy, but for the most part, I didn't have a problem with it. I think Christian Bale made a great Gore, the God Butcher. I loved seeing Jane Foster get to do the Mighty Thor storyline. And really, it just looked beautiful too. Everything about this movie I thought was great. So yeah, I would have been really disappointed if I didn't get a Thor movie in, and the first two I didn't want to draft, so I had to pick this one round 4.
There you go. All right, Tato.
I respect this choice, Brian.
Yeah, no, all the jokes I could say about it. It's not something I would pick just because it's mid for me, but I'm not hating any. It's a good pick.
I loved this movie. I thought it was really good. Good
Tato,
choice, Brian.
wrap up round 4, and then after that, but we'll talk about that in a minute.
Here I'm gonna go with another personal pick. That's
Spider-Man Far From Home.
More me than I think the rest of the universe. I'm gonna go Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 here. I fucking love the shit out of this movie. I don't see why it gets the flack that it does. The fucking Yondu, his whole moment, the Ravager funeral, the Cat Stevens just fucking hits you.
Fuck you.
Punches you in the dick hole. It's awesome.
You will never see the colors of a gourd fly over your funeral, and then yes, I will, bitch. Yes, I will, whore.
It's a rabbit. And fucking Kraglin sells it so hard. Yes, dude.
Yeah, that guy.
We'll talk about that. Do you have any last thoughts, Tato, before we recap round 4?
No, I don't think I do.
All right. So since you ended that round, would you have gone Love and Thunder, Multiverse of Madness, or Homecoming?
I forgot to write down Multiverse. I would have very much. Homecoming is in my my top 12 is where a significant drop off happens for me.
Okay.
Homecoming is 11. Guardians Volume 2 is 12. So okay. I would have loved if Homecoming would have come my way, but I knew that it was probably not gonna. I had hoped that it could have. It wasn't outside of the realm of possibility, but I'm good with it not. Love and Thunder, interestingly enough, is my 13, even though I didn't dig it as much as I wanted to. Like you're saying, expectation versus the movie we got. Like, Gore is one of the only comics I read like significantly before it happened in the MCU, and I would have liked to have seen it done a little. Like Christian Bale did great, but I would have just liked to see it go a different direction. But the movie itself, for what we got, was good. Not as funny or epic as Ragnarok, but
blame movie rights more than anything else.
Yep. And then Multiverse of Madness is not a huge favorite of mine. I'm not a huge horror cat, which is part of that. Though I do love the horror elements in this flick. Wanda is fucking terrifying, and it's awesome.
I never said her name. You never told me your name, did you? Yeah.
Shit. I don't she done played herself fool. But yeah, the whole fight versus the fucking what good is a phone call if you're unable to speak, and fucking we'll bisect Captain Carter with the shield, and all sorts of fun in there. So I do like the movie. It's not one of my top MCU flicks, but good flick.
There you go. And Brian, recap round 4.
Yeah, so let me see. So Spider-Man Homecoming, obviously the No Way Home had gone first. That's my favorite of the bunch, but I do love Spider-Man Homecoming. That was definitely one I probably would have drafted next if it was still around. I like that it was it does kind of bring things back to a smaller scale, kind of like the first Iron Man. It is just like Spider-Man and his own problems. It's not these, saving the world kind of problems in this movie. It's just like his little universe. I think Tom Holland makes by far the best, both Peter Parker and as Spider-Man. I think he represents the character perfectly. So I really enjoyed that. And of course, seeing Michael Keaton back in a comic movie as Vulture was great. multiverse it's in the bottom of my list. The thing is, if it was about Doctor Strange and Wanda and the horror elements and that kind of thing, I think all that stuff is great. What I don't like about it is the whole multiverse aspect of it, and the Illuminati and things like that. And this had nothing to do with my expectations, because I was one of these people who expected it to be cameo fest and all these characters were going to see everybody from every universe. I didn't expect that, and I didn't want any of that stuff. But even the stuff we did get, it's just like I didn't really like the way they kind of worked that stuff in. So I mean, it's a very kind of hit and miss movie for me. And what's the other one? Guardians Volume 2. I agree, this one's underrated.
Facts.
There are things about it I don't love. Like I don't think Ego is the best villain, and there are a couple other aspects of it I didn't like as much. But I mean, the things it did give us, I mean, just first of all, just seeing the team together and their chemistry is perfect. It introduced us to Mantis, who I love, and if you've watched the Christmas special, she's even more awesome in that.
She actually kicks ass.
You get the Sovereign Race, which is setting up Adam Warlock, which I can't wait to see Will Poulter as Adam Warlock in Volume 3.
Come over here.
So and then Yondu and Ravagers. That all that stuff was the best stuff of the movie.
There you go. And yeah, so for me, Guardians 2, once again, it's one of those things that when the jokes don't hit, they don't hit, but the rest hits. And I actually do like Ego, and I love the emotional stuff. As you notice, that a lot of my themes, I really hammer home emotions, either nostalgia, rewatchability, or emotion. Those are my three things that I like. And Guardians 2 has a little bit of rewatchability and emotion, so that's what that. Love and Thunder, it's gone down on rewatch. Not like it's like not the rating, but the ranking. If I'm between two, I'm probably gonna pick the other one based on just the rewatch went down a little bit on Love and Thunder. I really don't like the goats. That is a big thing for me. I liked actually everything with Russell Crowe's character and stuff like that. And you flick too hard, damn it. Stuff like that.
You're uninvited from the orgy.
So I liked all that stuff. And then Homecoming. This is a movie that, because I would have wanted representation from Spider-Man, I probably would have considered it, but I decided that I wanted to go another direction instead, earlier. So that's just, I had to look at my team. I sometimes you go with your heart. I mean, your mind, not your heart sometimes. And that was with that. So yeah, I'm cool with that. And Jay, final thoughts before we start round 5 with Tato.
I know I'm not trying to deflect or argue about what anybody has said about anything else, but Multiverse of Madness is kind of super cameo heavy. I like the fact that it did give us that one thing that everybody has been looking for, which is John Krasinski as Reed Richards. I love the fact that it gave us Professor X in the MCU. Especially the little danger room as he's rolling in. There are a lot of things that I like about this, but that fight scene where they're using musical notes, they're using lines of musical notes, is by far probably one of my favorite fight scenes in an MCU movie in a very long time. I almost started talking about Iron Man 3. That's bullshit. Thor: Love and Thunder. I think more than most people. I think there are certain things that I wish could have been different, which is mainly you got to bring Null in, because Null is the reason why Gore the God Butcher exists, and we can't have the Necroblade without Null. But they don't have, the MCU doesn't have the rights to the god of the Venom symbiotes, so it sucks a little bit. And Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 is say what you will, I fucking enjoy this movie. This movie hits on all of the perfect emotional notes, especially if you come from a broken home, you don't have a father that really fucking cared. To see somebody step up and take that role over Michael Rooker's fucking Yondu does, and for him to sacrifice himself for Peter at the very end of the movie will kind of fucking break you. 100% fucking break you. The fourth round, surprisingly full of fucking bangers.
Yep. Underrated bangers.
Underrated bangers. Round 4, the underrated round. But yeah, no, I think everybody chose fucking fire movies for round 4.
And now let's see if we can cap off. No intended. If we can cap off the draft and round 5 with Tato.
Don't fuck it up, Taters.
What are you ending your team with?
since I didn't get surface level
I'll give
Spider-Man,
you a recap anyway, just for the people at home. So we have No Way Home, Black Panther, Marvel's The Avengers, and Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 for Tato.
It's a broad range, Taters. It's a broad range.
I like it. I got a good mixture of team ups and solo flicks.
Don't Ryan leave us.
I am gonna go with another solo flick because No Way Home isn't really it's halfway between an epic team up and a solo Spider-Man flick. So
Into space,
I'm gonna go. He has been to space. I'm gonna go Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings.
Good pick.
Good pick. Great pick to end off the fucking round.
Epic martial arts. The practical Jackie Chan level stunt fighting. It's just the movie is also visually stunning. Ta Lo is just fucking beautiful.
Wait, you changed your name from Shang to Sean?
Shang. Yep. It does. It does suffer from getting be blowing up in the third act with the giant sky battle and shit, where I would have liked for it to stay a little more grounded in the martial arts. But Aquafina's hilarious. I really enjoy them. Wong is great in it. I love me some Wongers. So yeah, I'm gonna go Shang-Chi.
You heard it. Tato loves Wang.
I'm only going back a little bit on the last round just because this one reminded me, because Razor Fist in this one reminded me of Taser Face in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 that no one mentioned. So I just wanted to Brian, what is your final
metaphorical?
Shang? You went from Shang to Sean?
Yeah.
Okay, last
just a recap for Brian. He has Avengers Endgame, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1, Iron Man, and Thor Love and Thunder.
So my heart kind of wants to pick Iron Man 3, but I'm not going to because I already have an Iron Man represented. So I want to keep some variety in here. So I'm going to go with Doctor Strange, the first one. Doctor Strange is a character who I largely never cared about in the comic books. I've never been into like the mystical, side of things. That supernatural side of things. Benedict Cumberbatch would not have been my first choice from the very beginning. I was saying that it should have been Pierce Brosnan, but then they used him for Dr. Fate, which is kind of a sad DC knockoff. But I think Benedict did a great job. I think that it was cast well. I love the tone they set with. I love the way it was filmed, especially towards the end when they start using the time stone and kind of doing that. They're moving forward while time is moving in reverse. I love the way that was done. You got Chiwetel Ejiofor into the MCU as Mordo. Rachel McAdams, I think, is severely underused, but it's still nice to see her around. And overall, it's just a movie that looked really good. I think that for somebody like me who didn't really care about the mystical supernatural side, I think it just really worked for me and kind of made me want to see more of it.
One question I have, since you went Doctor Strange, the first one, I went Multiverse of Madness. Do you feel like Scott Derrickson's direction would have changed anything in Multiverse of Madness, or do you think that it was a good choice, regardless of what we got in Multiverse of Madness, of changing the director?
I think that I don't think I would have felt any different about Multiverse if he had directed it, because my problems with it weren't the direction of it. I think either one of them could have made a good one. I think Sam Raimi was good for bringing those horror elements, but I think Derrickson would have been obviously fine with it as well. For me, it was more about kind of the direction they went with the story is what I didn't love about the movie.
And thank God Sam Raimi's movie didn't have trees in it.
All right, so we're going over to me, and I'm happy that I got my two wild cards that are just true to me. It's the one I literally just got done watching, Avengers: Age of Ultron. This is a movie that is just mad underrated, and not from a mid-tier level of just an S tier or like a top tier level. I actually think that this movie is a banger. And I went through my letterbox and I went to a bunch of people's reviews, or at least scrolled through, and I noticed this is something that I see a lot with films that I disagree with people on and I'm genuinely confused about. If I go to people's letterboxes, not only are there's two things, and usually both. There's a bunch of low ratings or mid ratings, and there's a bunch of one reviews or one diary entries, and it happens all the time. Whereas other movies, they have multiple, or they'll see it a bunch of times. So whenever I disagree, they won't even have reviews. They'll usually just rate it, and they'll just log it in there, and they won't have a review for it, so they don't actually express why they're mid tier on it. or they don't, whatever their disagreements are, and they usually only see it once a few years ago. And I feel like that's one of those things that Age of Ultron does a fantastic job of setting up Civil War, which I'm happy that I got both because it's kind of a great double feature. It's a film that gets right into it. It's 2.5 hours long, and you don't feel that. The only quote unquote slow moment of the film is arguably one of the better moments of the film is when we go to Hawkeye's, Clint Barton's, ranch home and deals with his family, because it gives him some weight and levity as a character. It actually gives him some importance, and it actually shows us that superheroes are people. You know what I mean? They have actually homes, and it brings the stakes, which carries on over to the third act of the fight in Sokovia. And I love the fight in Sokovia because my issue with a lot of these third act movies is a lot of it are like faceless aliens, like the first Avengers in Infinity War, which ironically I have, but they're a bunch of like aliens that they're fighting. Whereas in this one, it's AI. So I don't know why that's different for me, but I actually like that. And it feels cool because it's AI taking over. So it feels different, even though it's technically the same in theory, it's different in practice because it's AI. And I actually love Ultron as a character, both in his beliefs, as a nice dichotomy to Tony Stark's inner like self and what he represents, but it brings out his evil side, but also just like it's the whole metaphor of no string. So imagine Tony Stark if growing up, in his entire franchise, if he had no strings and he didn't like really turn the page, this is what he could have become. And similar to in Doctor Strange, the evil Strange, it does a good job of showing the opposite side of these characters. So it does a great job at that. So this is one of those ones where it's a mirrored version of our hero, but it's done differently enough that it stands apart, and it doesn't feel like a mirrored lazy version. It feels like a understandable why it would be that. And you have all the Avenger stuff that's great. You have the Iron Man Hulk fight, the Hulkbuster versus Hulk is amazing. You have everything building up with Wanda and Petrov of just setting them up as weird and fast. And that's a lot of fun. And it does a good job of not completely ripping off Days of Future Past, which happened just the year before with the Quicksilver stuff, but it also shows like it can do it, but it is what it is. Marvel stuff, it's bullshit rights that we see. And then the last thing I want to say that the reason I actually like this one more than the Marvel's Avengers is because this one actually feels like it has style. The other one has a lot of hoorah, this is my childhood from the comics and what I love growing up. But in this one, this actually feels like a stylized film, but not over stylized. And there's jokes spread out, but it doesn't feel overly jokey like we get later in the MCU. So it's a good mesh of everything that I like in these films, and I'm really happy with my team now. So Avengers: Age of Ultron to cap off my team. Jay, what is the final pick in our very first ever MCU movie draft?
A lot of good ones have been taken, honestly. I think
and just to recap,
everybody is
Winter Soldier, Captain America Winter Soldier, Thor Ragnarok, Captain America the First Avenger, and Spider-Man Homecoming.
That's what I have.
Yes.
You said that's what I have.
Well,
I get what you're saying. I'm gonna go with the first Ant-Man movie, actually, to cap off our first draft. Kind of like Homecoming, this is one of those smaller level things, smaller level movies, because it's not like world ending. He gets a nice little fight with Black Falcon.
Talk about our Falcon comics later.
Exactly. He gets a nice little fight with an Avenger. He knows that 31 Flavors will always find out. There's a lot that goes on in this movie, but Scott is just a fucking dude who happens to break into a house with a vault made from the same steel that made the Titanic. I fucking, this movie is great. Plus his homies, like you got T.I., you got fucking Michael Pena, and you've got, I always forget his name. Why am I forgetting his name?
Malchin.
No, I was gonna call him Polka Dot Man.
I'm a motherfucking superhero.
I'm a motherfucking superhero. But like they do such a good job, and it's so weird. Like we have had weird movies in the MCU, but we've never had a movie where like a dude controls like an ant before, or like
honestly, that's one of the most fantastical things in all of this.
Exactly. And it worked so well. Plus the fact that you have Luis, played by Michael Pena, who has by far probably one of the most epic breakdown voices of all time, and it works so well. I absolutely enjoy this movie. Every time I watch it, I find myself just smiling. And there's this moment that comes full circle where, like, when he picks Scott up from prison and he's like, I'm the only one who has ever knocked old boy out. And then you watch him just one punch that fucking security guard. And you're like, oh, that's why. No, this movie has so many just funny, fun, small moments. Plus, it's not Scott trying to be a superhero. It's Scott trying to be a normal fucking dude and co-parent with his wife and this cop. And the cop don't like him until the end of the fucking movie. It's great. The interplay through everybody in this movie just makes it for me, honestly. I fucking love Ant-Man, and I think Ant-Man is like up there with all of the like round 4 movies. I think it's underrated. I know that like a lot of people have problems with shit like this, and I know like a lot of people have problems with Ant-Man and the Wasp, but we're not talking about that. This is the first Ant-Man movie. So shout out to Antonio Chavez.
All right.
Ant-Man.
All right. So with that said, let me just finally recap. Obviously, it'll be on screen, but for us here in the edited version, it's not on there yet. So Tato, first up, you have Spider-Man: No Way Home, Black Panther, Marvel's The Avengers, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, and Shang-Chi. Brian, you have Avengers Endgame, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1, Iron Man, Thor: Love and Thunder, and Doctor Strange. Henry, Avengers Infinity War, Avengers Civil War. I'm just kidding. Captain America Civil War, Wakanda Forever, Black Panther story, Multiverse of Madness, Doctor Strange 2, and Avengers Age of Ultron. And last but not least, Jay, Captain America, No Deaths Matter, Thor Ragnarok, Captain America the First Avenger, Spider-Man Homecoming, and Ant-Man didn't show up. So with that said, Tato, if you could remember everything I wrote down, give us a quick rundown on your opinions on everyone's drafts and any final words.
Yep, I'll just throw a quick recap for the last round there. Age of Ultron is the only movie outside of my top 20 drafted. So we basically just drafted Tato's top 20 movies. Good job, guys. It's at 22, so not far off. Ant-Man at 20 comes in, getting drafted at 20. Beautiful. I love it. And Doctor Strange, I flipped on with Shang-Chi. Because it's my 16, and I was like, they're both solo stories about not very well known characters. They're both visually gorgeous. There's a lot of similarities to those flicks. So
plus Trevor shows back up.
Yes, but the martial arts is kind of what gave Shang-Chi the edge for me. So looking at Brian's list, Endgame's fantastic, Guardian's great, Iron Man's great. They're all up in my top 10. So good job there. Love and Thunder is my 13. So Brian's list next to mine is probably the best. I jest. Henry, like I said, I'm not a huge fan of Wakanda Forever, Multiverse, or Age of Ultron. So I guess that just kind of is the way the cards fell. For me, your list isn't my favorite here. Jay's list I love, Ragnarok I love. I'm glad I resisted the trade because I think Black Panther looks a little better than Ragnarok there. Cap 1, like I said, is the middle for me. Homecoming I love. I really wish it had fallen to me. And Ant-Man I think went exactly where it should.
There you go. Brian, final thoughts.
Yeah, well, like Tato, I was looking and the 20 we've drafted are basically my top 20 with only two of our picks fell outside the top 20, my top 20. And that's Multiverse and the first Ant-Man, which I really love. Ant-Man, it's just that franchise tends to rank lower than the others for me as far as how much they interest me. I'm not going to break down everything. I will say everybody had some strong picks. If I had to pick somebody's list that wasn't mine, I'd probably end up with Potatoes because No Way Home, Black Panther, and Avengers. His first 3 picks are a strong top 3.
So. Yeah, they're fire picks.
There you go. And then for me, the only 2 movies in my top 20 that didn't get picked was Spider-Man: No Way Home, which is my number 10, which ironically is above Wakanda Forever, which I did pick, but I just had to go with on paper just the better draft pick. And they're 10 and 11. I feel like that's fair. if I had, I love Mysterio. It's close.
Henry's a fuckboy, confirmed.
Mysterio versus Namor. That's a tough battle. And then my other one, another hugely underrated, Iron Man 2. I actually have that above Winter Soldier. So obviously I would never pick that in a draft format because I would want to win a poll, and I liked higher movies on this. But with that said, I'm really confident with my team, and I'm happy with it. If I had to technically pick someone else's, ironically, I would have picked Jay's. So Jay's the one that I would have picked out of the other ones if I had to pick one.
21%.
Next. And then last but not least, Jay, wrap us up.
I don't think anybody has like a fucking slouch of a pick here. I really don't. I think that everybody created a really solid list. And the fact that like we didn't constrain everybody to picking everything, had we added one more person, two more people, we would have been able to fucking get all 30 movies. Had we added two more people, we would have been able to get all 30 movies.
I would have taken Morbius over Eternals.
Daredevil.
It's Morbin time. No, I think everybody has a solid show. I do love my list. There are a couple that I would trade here or there. I think Wakanda Forever is the one that I regret the most not drafting, but I didn't feel drafting it in like round 2 was the correct spot for it. And sometimes that happens. I love my list. There's not a movie on my list that I wouldn't watch 100 times. And there are some movies in the MCU that I just will not continue to watch again. I'm looking at you, Captain Marvel and the Eternals.
I would actually draft the Morbius end credit scene over the Eternals. No, my name is Henry Confidential. Shout out Jake Tato, Brian Michaels, and Jay Burns. This was episode 1 of the movie drafts.
Edmund's never allowed to fucking do one of these.
He's only allowed to do DC. I'll come up with a name for it eventually. So this isn't live. So when you watch this, go ahead and check on the channel. You'll see our live bracket that we're doing technically right after this recording and uploaded before this. So with that said, my name's Ender Confidential. See you guys in the MCU.